It's time for the recruiting backstories of the top NFL draft prospects. Let's go.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. And today is the NFL draft. We're going to be discussing it from a recruiting perspective. If you want to know about some of the players that are heading on from college and how they ended up where they were and where they're going to be, the personalities, you're in the right place. We're also going to have chat questions. Who would you draft and why? What do you look for in a draft player? And many other questions for the chat later on. We'll have some fun with that. And I also want to mix in one major college thing. And thank the Lord for this. It's an ironic reason that they're going to do this, but 14 weeks to play 12. They're going to move back in 2027, a year from now, the college football start date to give everybody 2 buys. We know the college football playoff is going to expand. They're looking for money. They don't care about anybody, but it does help to have that extra bye week. So let's dive into some stories. I'm just going to go through the list and have fun with it. And for the record, I'm just going through, looking at the draft. I'm using CBS Sports Draft. I had some fun with that this morning. I was reading Ryan Wilson's draft report and just kind of having fun. But I went through it that way if you want to keep up. But here are my questions about players that are going through. Everybody knows Fernando Mendoza is going number 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders. When I saw Mendoza, it was at an Elite 11. He was really good, but he wasn't somebody that wowed me with arm or anything else. And I was just like, really? When I saw how good he was a couple of years ago when he played for Cal at a game at Auburn. There was something like, to begin the game, 7 out of 8 or something like that on their third downs to start the game. It was insane. Their offensive line stunk. Cal's line couldn't protect. So they would move the pocket a little bit, do different things, had a lot of motions. You could tell that he was in command of the offense. He's got a big brain. He can figure it out. And they just murdered Auburn with short to intermediate passes. If they needed 4 yards, they got 4.5. He was the most precise, consistent guy. And I'm like, this kid's going to play in the NFL. Good for Cal. He's going to be wasted there, but, it is what it is. Then, of course, Fernando ends up at Indiana. Difference in coaching, difference in offensive line, especially their O-line coach. They could run the ball. Totally different result. Obviously, Indiana wins its first national title. Maybe the one most outlier situation I've ever seen. Mendoza was that guy in high school that was smart, but I just didn't see the development. He's changed his body so much, his arm strength. It just shows how hard it is to grade quarterbacks. I called somebody about him yesterday, and he confirmed the same thing. And he's somebody that saw Mendoza multiple times in high school. He's like, nobody saw that coming. I didn't think he had a chance to be like this. Not one person that I spoke with thought Mendoza was like an NFL guy coming out of high school. At one point, I can't remember. I think it was Harvard he was committed to, but it was one of the traditional Ivy League schools. Then he ended up at Cal, and then he transferred to Indiana. Great guy, good family, all that stuff. But backstory here is again, very, very basic. Just somebody that was kind of a late bloomer, but really smart, figured it out, and keeps on working. Mendoza is just a great story, and good luck to him in the National Football League. Who is this Jeremiyah Love guy? All right, I had a chance to be around Jeremiyah when he was at the Under Armour game and the practices and stuff, and spoke to him briefly after the game, and he was always the same personality. Stone face, A to B, wants to get it done. And I just remember after the game for Under Armour, this is so funny. Every running back gets like 3 to 5 carries because they've got a bunch of them. The defenses dominate. The O-lines get overrun. It's not enough time to really sink. And it's the same thing over and over and over. You see the opportunities there, but the drives just bogged down. Jeremiyah got 3 carries, and he was pissed. He goes, man, I didn't even have a chance to get going. I only got 3 carries. That's the only thing he could really say to me. He was just mad because he's so competitive. Well, of course, at Notre Dame, he was insane. He had 40 touchdowns the last 2 years. That's pretty impressive. LaDainian Tomlinson on like 275 less carries, although more catches. My guy Trevor Trowbridge over at Irish Breakdown put this stat up on their message board. I couldn't believe this, but he has an insane opportunity, like at Notre Dame, like be in the record books for a long time. 40 touchdowns, like the same number or whatever as Tomlinson, but at the same time with way over 200 carries less. That's incredible. I'm not surprised because he was so fast. The one thing that I am a little surprised about, because I thought he might end up at receiver, he just ended up being so much more physical in between the tackles. Again, it shows you what college weight rooms can do. I don't think Jeremiah was 200 pounds. He might have been just under it when I knew him and coming out of high school, and he's obviously completely different now. He's like 212, 214, something like that. That's what he played at for the Irish. You just can't ever tell. He bounced just about everything in high school to the outside. He did in the Under Armour game too. Like, he could outrun anybody. But it's different. Once you get into college, either you adjust or you die because you're just going to sit on the bench. He was a dude immediately, and it showed. Next up, Rueben Bain Jr.'s. He's just one of those great guys. He always impressed. And I'm not talking about on the gridiron here. I'm talking about off. The first time I met him was at one of those preseason kind of, not an award show, but like preseason deals where all the coaches bring their guys or key players in. And it was going into his junior year, I believe it was. I can't remember. But like, I really had a chance to speak with him. And he's the same guy all the time. He's not big-headed. He's not arrogant. He's not somebody that worries about who's around. He's not worried about who gets the acclaim. He just wants to be recognized. Shake your hand. Yes, sir. No, sir. Did the right things. His mom's got a great personality. He's a good dude. He's from the right kind of environment for him. You could tell that Rueben was absolutely taught how to respect the people around him, his coaches, the media, and everything. That always stuck with me. But on the field, like watching him in practices at Under Armour or wherever, he was always the same guy too, in that he was all business then. He had an on-off switch that was very unique. Not many people are going to be able to turn that off and then turn it back on the way he did. And it's one of the reasons that he ended up being such a stalwart for the Miami Hurricanes. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know where Ruben's going to go in the draft. And I understand his arms are not ideal in terms of length. The teams that pass on him, that need a pass. There are some certain teams that don't need a pass rusher, whatever. But the teams that pass on him that need a pass rusher as one of their top 2 or 3, I'm going to laugh. He's going to be a very successful NFL player in a multitude of ways. It's just the way it is, man. He's a difference maker because of his power and his relentlessness. His technique's good. Obviously, Jason Taylor, the Hall of Famer for the Dolphins, now coaching for the Hurricanes, did a great job of helping develop him in that scheme. That's a guy that's going to do really, really well. Next up, Carnell Tate's quiet confidence. This is a short story, but it just shows you, be careful for what you ask for. Be careful for what you ask for. I don't remember the team or whatever they were playing. But Carnell played with SFE, 7-on-7 team. If you follow 7-on-7, you know what I'm talking about. Elite program. It was a day, it was real cold. They were at a tournament, and SFE goes out there and they're playing. They're going against a team that just wasn't near as good, but there are always guys that are barking. Carnell's a quiet dude. He doesn't say much, kind of like Jeremiah Smith, ironically. Carnell's a quiet guy, and he's basically just chilling. But some guys kind of talking, and he went out of his way to make a point. Like, I said something to him on the sideline, like, these guys talking. He's like, yeah, it's not going to matter. Like, it wasn't anything big, but he let it be known, and then he let his performance do the talking for him. I love guys like that. Get it done on the field. You want to talk a little bit too, that's fine. But Carnell didn't care what anybody thought. Next up, Francis Mauigoa, one of my favorite guys that I've ever covered. Played at the University of Miami. Was a teammate of Tate's at IMG Academy. He is one of the most gregarious, easygoing, fun-loving individuals I've ever met in my life. I actually took a photo of him this past year, and the summer, like late spring, early summer, he had like a banjo or something playing at an event. He was just going out to hang out with some of his friends that were Polynesian at an event. Thank God that he's a nice guy, because he's 335 pounds and just built like you're supposed to be built to play offensive line. Maybe as strong a guy that I've ever had the opportunity to get to know, and just always happy to be around people. When I saw him at IMG, he would have glasses on, talking to everybody. He wanted to do interviews. He didn't really worry about who wanted to ask him questions. He was always happy to do it. But when it was time to grind, he blocked out everything. Kind of like Bain. I would have loved to have seen some of the one-on-ones with Rueben going up against Francis. That probably was great stuff at the University of Miami. But he would just, like, all of a sudden, he could lock in. I didn't know if he was going to be an offensive tackle or not, because he was such a big guy. I thought maybe he ends up at guard. We'll see. Started at right tackle for 3 years for the Hurricanes. Mr. Consistency. And he deserves it. He put in the work. He wanted to get into a certain level of shape. He wanted to do things that other guys hadn't. He set the Miami strength record, like total metrics. Cristobal talked about that during his freshman year. The first year he was there. That's insane. But again, just great kid, and I really, really respect him. When we come back, I've got 5-6 more stories that are pretty fun right here on Locked on the Portal. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute that I'll be speaking with you, company like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interview candidates who check your boxes for less stress, less time, and more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this pod. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club down in the description below. There is a link. Get your pods on the go without ads. Check out the Everydayer Club. All right, let's jump back into the draft. That's the first 5, but I've got a second group. Caleb Downs was coaching. What does that mean? I've never seen this before at this level. He played at Mill Creek, program just outside Atlanta. They won state his senior year. They weren't near the most physically gifted team from top to bottom, I can assure you. Well coached. They had a couple other guys. One kid went to Clemson, didn't really pan out, and they had some other guys coming up. But that was a team that was good, but Downs made it operate at an efficiency level I can't explain, and that's why this is important. The day that I went out, Caleb's like the polar opposite of some of the other guys I've talked. Like Carnell Tate's real quiet. Caleb is not. And his personality exudes confidence, and he's just happy to be who he is. Well, I went out to practice. He had purple cleats on. Like he's just that guy that doesn't mind standing out. But he backs it up. He talks the talk, not just for himself, but for others. And here's what I mean. He would go through a drill. They were working on individuals when I was out there. He would do what he was supposed to, and they were doing a stock drill to tackle guys, take it to proper angle, stuff like that. That's very common in football. Well, he got done, and there were a couple of younger guys, coming up the ranks. They would do it. The coach would say something, but Caleb would go like to the side and show him how to do it. Like they didn't say anything to Caleb. They didn't ask him. He just did it, and the coach just let it ride. And I'm like, he's doing this over and over again. This kid is different. Like he was as smart, like super articulate, just to speak with him on the side, super articulate. But I didn't have any idea what we were talking about here in terms of the upside that he had. Like he was very specific on what he was trying to do. And it was really impressive. Now, the other thing about him, he didn't care what he was doing. It was 100 miles an hour. Just from an evaluation standpoint. And I didn't see him in a game. I just saw him at practice. everything that he did in practice was 100 mile an hour. And it kind of explains why Saban wanted him so much, Kirby wanted him so much, Ryan Day, et cetera, et cetera. Really, really good kid and just fun to be around. But that effort, that's something you're always looking for, man. Always want that. Makai Lemon changed how I grade wide receiver recruits. This is true story. The Battle Miami tournament that he was at, I believe he was, I forget which team it was, but anyway, he was with one of the teams from California, and they were good. They had a lot of guys, but the weather was crappy. The field was bad, and it was the last year that they had it before we moved to the fields. We do Battle Miami now that are turf fields, so the rain doesn't bother things. But anyway, he was a route runner. And I knew that from watching his film, but it's different seeing kids live like him. He's fast, but he's not a burner. Didn't matter who he went against, though. He would either A, use his body to shield somebody, B, he would absolutely make a guy miss or guess wrong, if you will, of which direction he was going. He knew how to break down and change direction. And then the best thing, we've all seen this when he was a Southern Cal, just tremendous hands. He is the consummate professional in terms of how he carries himself, in terms of how he prepared, even going into his senior high school. Makai was that dude. Athletic, smart, timely, hustle, really strong. He maximizes what he has. Is he as gifted as some other receivers? Probably not. But he's still plenty talented. And again, like strong hands, it's probably something I look at differently. And it's along with, I don't know which one I rank higher. They're about the same. But just incredibly gifted hands to catch the ball no matter what's going on, combined with, are you a route runner out of high school? To me, that changes things like a lot. Just as an example, like there are a lot of different guys that are good in this class for 27 that can catch the football, that can stretch the field, whatever. I just watched film of a Georgia commitment from Shadow Creek, Aiden Starling. He's really good. He's not the biggest guy, but he runs routes well. He sells things. He really has great hands. He knows how to shield people. I'm going to have him ranked higher than most people will because he reminds me a lot of Makai Lemon. It's ironic that I watched this film just before this show, but those are the kinds of kids that if they get even decent coaching in college, that's what I'm looking for. I think Makai Lemon will be a first-round pick and will be very successful wherever he goes in the NFL. Peter Woods was that dude. Yeah, I saw Peter when he was an underclassman. See, I think he was a junior that year, but he was state finals. It was a 3-play segment. Quarterback pressure that blew up a play. He had to run stuff. And then he had like a pass deflection. Like every play, he adjusted and made something happen. And there were other plays where he made dominant situations just look easy too, because one arm stab, release, breakdown, change direction, get to the running back. And I'm like, this guy's playing D tackle. He was 260, 270, something like that at the time. But then I saw him just throughout the game, just constantly play at a level the other team couldn't. And I'm like, this guy's going to be a really good college player. He might be an NFL guy. If he can just add the weight, he's an NFL guy. And they've got it on him at Clemson. He did a good job. But I knew from the first time that I saw him, and he played at Thompson. It's not a shocker up there in the Birmingham area. Great, great athlete, really, really fast. So I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that more people didn't think he was going to be a high draft pick. I know Clemson wasn't as good this past year, but it's not that Peter Woods wasn't really good. So just keep that in mind. Number 9, Keldrick Falk and Bulls. This is just a funny story. Falk was a defensive end for Auburn the last few years. He was as good a D end, especially like a strong side end, as I thought there was in college football. However, when he was being recruited, he had a lot of offers. I went to visit him and his brother, who's now at Auburn, down at their hometown. They live in Highland Home, Alabama, south central Alabama. There's nothing going on there. It's a small town. And I said, what do you guys do here for entertainment? I'm just talking to him like in a parking lot at the school or whatever. And they're going through some stuff. And he says, yeah, if we get really bored, somebody rides a bull. And I said, what? He said, yeah, somebody, it's cows, this country area and all this. He talked about riding bulls. I said, man, if you ever see somebody going, well, you send me the video. He never did, which is disappointing. But I was like, that is crazy. But defensive linemen think differently than most people, I can assure you. Keldrick Falk absolutely fit that to the absolute T. Number 10, Monroe Freeling's athleticism. This is the left tackle for Georgia. This past year, he turned pro. I remember seeing him at the Under Armour camp, and he was starting to blow up. He's a kid from South Carolina, played at a school that wasn't prominent or whatever, but like his frame and everything, you could see it. And I remember Monroe just going through drills, doing what he had to do at the camp and at one-on-ones. But he didn't get like picked to the level he thought he should. I thought he was really good. But he ended up being a guy that had an offer from every school in the country. Ends up going to Georgia, and he's 3 and out. And it just shows you that sometimes it's just really hard. Seeing him play high school tape, like seeing that, whatever. Big guys at lower levels, he's just running over guys. But he handled players when he went to the Under Armour camp that were on the same level, at least gifted. And it was just now, like, it didn't even look hard for him. I'm like, if this kid can add the weight, he wasn't massive at the time, but if he can add the weight, this is an NFL player. Now, I didn't know he'd be at 3 and out. He wasn't even that good at the end of his sophomore year. The jump he made from his sophomore year until now is absolutely insane. But I'm not surprised that he's going to be an NFL player. And when his name is called in the first round, that's not really shocking. He's just a year earlier than I thought it would. It's hard to go 3 and out as an offensive tackle, man. He's a great kid. Good luck to him, Monroe Freeling, good guy. And that was just one of the most natural kids, just physically, that I remember seeing. Finally, Jadarian Price, the other running back from Notre Dame, played at Denison, Texas. And I randomly decided, I love the Dallas area. It's probably my favorite city to visit all around for everything. Sports, food, everything else. It's a great place to go. And Denison's about 45 minutes north. I went to go see him because I liked his film and I knew he was fast, and sit down with the coaching staff, talking to players and all that. They were talking about how fast he was. And again, seeing film, you can kind of get it. But that game, he did all of the following that I went to see. When I watched a little practice, and the next day I went to the game. He had 299 yards rushing. He had a receiving touchdown, and he had a kick return for a touchdown. He had damn near 400 yards or just over 400 yards of total offense when you combine the special. Like, it's insane. He had a touchdown called back, too. Like, it was grotesque. I remember calling some people, I'm like, I know he's not ranked as a top 10 running back nationally. That's a top 10 running back. He makes guys look stupid. His first step, explosiveness, cannot be taught. It's different seeing kids from 10 feet away. There's no way to explain that. And if you don't go out on the road and do it, it's just not the same. All right. Now I have a few things that I want to throw out there for the chat. We'll get back into that, but here's just a preview of it. This is my NFL draft guide. Here are my first 3, just up on the screen for those you watching live. When we come back, we're going to dive into it right here on the Portal Podcast. All right, here are my 3 primaries for my NFL draft guide. If I was an NFL GM, this is how I would look at it. The first one probably sounds comical, but this is based on the obvious. Draft future Hall of Fame players. What does that mean? Well, of course, Brian, if everybody knew who the Hall of Famers are, they would just draft them. Well, this is the shorthand for it. What I mean by that is simple. Hall of Famers, sometimes they come out of nowhere. Tom Brady, he was a 6th-round pick. Okay. But there are a handful of guys everybody thinks this is a Hall of Famer in the NFL draft, but they don't always play the position you want them to. Everybody wants the Hall of Fame left tackle, quarterback, DN, D tackle, and corner. I get it. But if there's an unbelievable offensive guard, if there's an unbelievable safety, middle linebacker, whatever it is, don't be afraid to go up a few spots. Take the sure thing. You're spending gobs of money regardless. Take the sure thing. Don't overthink it. It's not that hard. And I'm trying to think of who came in the draft that year. But let me see. 2018 NFL draft. I'll just do this in live time. It was it was unbelievable to me in this sense. Number 6 in 2018 was Quentin Nelson. I thought he was the best player in the draft. And I know Saquon was in it, but that's pretty much as simple as it gets. One of those two guys was the best player in the draft. Baker Mayfield went first because he's a quarterback, but I never thought he was going to be a great NFL guy. Really good player, but NFL's first pick, don't overdraft. Saquon Barkley, if he'd have went first, I would have understood it. It's running back. I'd have taken Nelson number 1 because I thought this guy's a Hall of Famer. What are we doing here? What are we doing? He went 6th. I bet there are a lot of teams that wish they hadn't done that. Take the obvious choice. Fight the urge to just draft the position. That's how teams end up being in the top 6 over and over again. Cleveland, Miami, Cincinnati, Arizona. You see those teams over and over again in the top 10 of the draft, if not top 5, the Jets. I wonder why that is. Don't overthink it. Draft the player that you need to draft based on his Hall of Fame opportunity. Number 2, just in general, I already kind of touched on this. Stop overdrafting quarterbacks. This isn't just top of the board either. For the love of mankind, if the guy's not going to be a great NFL quarterback, why in the hell are you drafting him? Why? That's all I'm going to say. It's just utterly ridiculous. Number 3, trenches first. It is okay to select an offensive tackle number 1 overall. And in the case, like I was just talking about, Quentin Nelson, I'd have taken him first. Either him or Saquon is who I would have drafted in 2018. Flat out. They don't fit the profile, but those are Hall of Fame players. Everybody knew they were like unbelievable. What are we doing? Take the guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's not that hard. So just drives me bananas. Number 4, versatility matters. Drafting players with only one true position is risky. 100%. And what do I mean by true position? If you're running, let's use Jeremiyah Love, for example, or Jadarian Price, or any other guy that you know that has caught the ball out of high school, out of college, like you could see that. And if they've got any pass pro ability, that's the bonus. Love is an all-around player. You can put him in the slot on play 1 and make the other team think, okay, what's coming here? Jadarian Price, same thing. And if you miss, they can score. They're not really just running backs. And Price had like 2 touchdowns on kick returns this last year. You need players that can do different things for you to maximize your roster. Versatility matters. Defensive ends that are just pass rushers, they've got to be able to play the run if they're going to go in the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. Pass rushing is important. What can you do all around? Can you play as a stand-up edge and then also drop into coverage? Can you do something different if you're a middle linebacker that's great against the run? Are you also a liability against the pass? Are you a dual threat? Whatever position you are, you must be a dual threat. This is the NFL, after all. Number 5, I hate this one, but it is very, very true. Injury history repeats itself. Pick whoever you want historically. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you think the guy's good, you think the guy's great, you think the guy's just okay. The only thing that matters on game day is availability. If you're not available, all the other stuff goes out. And I spoke with several people over the years about this. I even had a coach recently, it's about 2 years ago now, I guess, looked at me and said, your best ability is your availability. This is a prominent coach that I've mentioned before on many shows here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'll leave the name out. But it's just true. If a young man is consistently injured during his collegiate career, even if he's incredibly gifted, what are the odds that he's going to survive a 17-game schedule in the National Football League? Not good. They're not good at all. Take that into consideration. In number 6, this is one I think most people agree with, but NFL scouts have their own thoughts on this. Tape over the NFL Combine. Drives me bananas. If it's close between 2 guys and you really can't differentiate and one guy's just unbelievable at the Combine, okay, that's fine. But if it's really close between the players on film and the Combine, you can kind of go down the list of the basic stuff. Then you can go position. Like, well, this guy, we're thinking about this guy or this guy. One's a running back, one's a DN. you probably take the D end. You can do that. But when it's the same position and one's better at the combine and one's better in the regular season, give me the guy in pads. Out of those three scenarios, it is obvious. Pads, pads, pads. Are you the dude in pads? And I'm just going to say this again. I mentioned it earlier, and I just like him anyway. Those teams that pass on Rueben Bain, that's their decision. We could all laugh about it later. We'll see. But tomorrow, my thoughts on why Georgia or Notre Dame could finish number one. We'll still talk about A&M and some other schools too, but that will be tomorrow's show. Everybody have a good one. This has been the Portal Podcast.